Okay, how about this one? Internet clout. Is there something you guys have seen lately, like where you're just
So like, I dislike people that do shit for internet clout. So whether it's being a menace to society or doing something like releasing a bunch of invasive frogs into a pond, like, it's not cool, man. Like,
I'm not a big fan of the shorts that go around in social medias where there's this video that did good, it got a lot of views and stuff, and then the person literally does a side-by-side with their face right next to it, and they're like doing a reacting thing, and they're obviously not reacting to it for the first time, and it's very clearly just fake reactions, and it's just ridiculous. It's why do you need to be there? You know, you put yourself there because it's the only way you can use that to get the clout for your channel and it not be copyright claimed or something like that, because you're trying to get the free use out of it.
you're piggybacking on someone else's work just to get the views for your
what I don't
input.
see enough of is original content. And that's why whenever I put stuff out there, I try my best to make sure it's original stuff. You know, something that I did, you know, I'm not, everybody just wants to share. You see the same 5,000 things shared on any social media platform constantly. And it's just the same 5,000 things. Nobody wants to put their own thoughts out there. Nobody wants to put their own content out there. They want to just share something that somebody else did, and it's just like, let's see some originality. Have some substance to your character. Something a little more than like, oh, well, I've searched through 6,000 images, and this one's cool.
Bring back MySpace.
I think a lot
I
of
never
that,
got to do it.
I think a lot of that plays into the average attention span being shorter and shorter these days. You know, because of content, if you can call it that just hits dopamine, you know, boom, 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 but it's not really content. Oh, you can talk about people who are piggybacking on other people who will just steal their content, acting like they're producing something original to somebody else's work, or just, you know, it's kind of like that activist thing. You know, you're bringing awareness to that other person's content, but you're saying it's yours in a way. But you know, not to go back to that, but just to say that, you know, a lot of the time content these days is not really content. It's not something that's of any value. It's just something that will hit just right in your brain, that takes you into that rabbit hole that you can just get lost in for hours, and, you know, there goes your afternoon. A lot of times, I mean, so it's kind of iffy, but like, you know, stuff like Mr. Beast. I mean, so he'll go out and give away, you know, thousands of dollars to people, or you know, he'll feed thousands of people McDonald's or whatever, or he'll give some random person a Lamborghini. You know, it's like, how are they going to afford the insurance for that, or the car parts? You know, but you know, it's like, you know, is that really helping people, or is that just providing you content so you get more views, so you get more money?
the content, the internet cloud, just ticks me off. Aside from the piggyback that is up there, I'm not a fan of the anything that usually deals with homeless, like, look at me, sucking my, I ain't gonna say it, but like, or pranking the homeless, you know what I'm talking
Right,
about?
yeah, that's even evil. That's so evil.
I don't like it when it's all like, here, record me while I go give this person $5 or a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
like,
because that's kind of fake, you know.
It takes away from the good intention. Then it's not about actually doing something good for your community or for somebody. It's about getting it's about, look at me, give me attention for doing good things. You know, if you really had the intentions to do good things, then you wouldn't necessarily be recording it. But I can see why recording it can be helpful, because if you do record it and you put it out there and these people can see what you're doing and they can donate to the cause, because I've seen a few we'll call them influencers, if you will, that do a lot of good for the homeless community, and even though they do record themselves doing it, they give a lot back too.
Yeah, and that's what kind of why I was saying, I was like, it's like on the fence, kind of iffy. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword where, you know, it is helping in a way, but it's also using Right. It's using someone's misfortunes for your own benefit. So it is a double-edged sword in that way.
Yeah, I would say it's like, well, it's like that phrase, like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Because being in a place of power or in a place of being able to do good for someone else isn't dreamy. It's not like this picture perfect thing. You are putting forth a lot of sacrifice to improve that person's life or that community's life or whatever. You know, you're really trying to help in a way that, sure, recording it is probably maybe fueling a lot of that, but to do it takes a lot. It does take a lot of effort, you know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Where, you know, it is a lot of effort to go out of the way. You know, you got to plan this shit out. You got to allocate the funds. You have to. There's so much that does go into it, and I think, you know, to ignore that would be kind of bad. I mean, you do have a lot of people who are, you know, it takes a lot of work to do good, but at the same time, how does the way that you do good actually help in the long run? That's what I think is the issue.
It's important to not give money, because money is the big thing. A lot of people find themselves in these situations because they don't know how to manage their money. So, you know, if they're on the streets and they're a drug addict, you give them money, and what are they going to do? They're going to go buy drugs. They're not going to do something to better themselves. But even then, give them food, you're just going to prolong their life so that they can get enough money to go do drugs again. You know, it's a lot of how willing are you to help yourself? You know, because I don't mind helping people that need help, but you've got to help yourself too. I'm not just going to give you a free ride and let you get on your feet. You know, I'm gonna have my stuff. You know, we're gonna.
Right. It's kind of like gatekeeping. We could go back to. It's all about mice. You know, it's all connected.
We're just mice in a cage.
One giant wheel. You know, but yeah, it is very important what you say. It's you know, you kind of have to see the willpower in the individual to want to change, to want to do good with the help that you're giving them. You know, you can give a drug addict money, but they're going to go buy more drugs. It's like, or you can take them away from that environment. You can show them a different environment in which they can, through their own efforts, through their own will to do better in life, they can push themselves onto a greater path and away from drugs and away from a toxic environment.
I think what he's saying is, you know how you bring money, you build something in a town to bring people to spend their money in that town. What he's saying is, buy drugs from the
Yes,
buy drugs so they can't get them.
Right.
If we drain the drug supply, they'll never be able to get drugs.
Support your local dealer.
Yeah, it increases the amount of money flowing into that community.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here. Did you have a least favorite internet clout you don't like, Sam?
It's very much like they both said. It is such an on the fence thing because there are a lot of good things that can come from it as well as bad things. To me, it's a tool. It's a tool, and for that, you can misuse a tool just as much as you can use it properly. And I think that's really just what it comes down to. Is it's like the internet clout is not necessary. What do you guys want me to do with this microphone? Oh my God, I'm watching the light. Okay, so.
Is there okay, there's certain trends. Sometimes it's like, look what I did for this homeless. Look what look at this dance that everybody and their mom is doing. Exactly. That's another form. Like, I don't like TikTok now.
Well, at that point, I would just say I would really wish trends would stop moving so quickly.
That's just pop culture, though, I think.
Well, I guess, but I mean, also that pop culture right now is derived off of the internet clout. And so I would just say it's like, I just wish things would slow down. It's like, I mean, it's weird that it's still fresh in my mind, the whole Twisted Tea thing.
Well,
and how long ago was that?
I think that's because of people getting bored. You know, you watch a video, you think it's funny, you're going to watch it, you're going to show your friends, you're going to show your family, you're going to show some random guy at work, you know, some you know, you're gonna show every customer that walks in the door, whatever. But it's gonna get old. It's gonna get old, and so you're
Well,
gonna
it's
get
like-
tired of it. You're gonna want to see something different.
Well, it's like, have you ever talked to someone in public, and
Never.
like, it seems like the only way they can communicate is with the latest of trend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything they say or do is based off of something they've watched,
Right. And
rather than literally their own thought process from what they watch. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like, it's less of them interpreting it in their way, and more like I hear so often people just want to repeat the exact thing that they saw,
Right. Without.
and use that as their form of communication.
Right.
That's just what we do, though. I mean, like, everything. All we know is everything that we look up to, we see, we learn from. I mean, we're constantly adapting. Like, if I went to Britain or wherever, it ain't gonna take me long to hop on that accent. And then eventually, being engulfed in that culture,
No,
you're gonna start reacting the way they do, eating their food. You're gonna,
No, I
and
can
if you come
see
back
that.
to, you
But
know
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying is, like, from the like, literally transmitting the media into your conversation.
Yeah, like even
rather
movements.
than actually conversating
everything.
about said media.
That's
You're
where we're
just
going. though.
translating it word for word. Or, right. Okay, like a good example would be like, well, I'm going to use this as it's a very common one that
That's
I'm
a-
pretty
that's
sure
a-
we all
That's a
know.
big one, yeah.
And it's like when you just go to someone and say, "Luke, I am your father."
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like we all know what that is. That's very
Star
common.
Trek, yeah.
Now, if I were to start talking to you in that way, but I'm using things that you probably haven't seen, it breaks down the communication. Because now you're communicating off of such current data and only down your rabbit hole that anyone else is left clueless. You know, well, it's like, I think a good example is like for Dylan, if I try to explain movie situations to Dylan, he has a huge disconnect with it because he doesn't sit down and watch movies like I do, you know. And so using that type of terminology to communicate with him can be more difficult for him than me.
Well-
So I try to use a more common conversation.
Yeah, that's why we're standardized from the beginning. That's why we go to school. That's why we learn to read, write, do math. We learn to do all this basic stuff so that way we have a foundation for communication in the future. And then as people go down their little rabbit holes and stuff, they go into their little niche groups. And I mean, we've seen this in early internet days. You know, there was a lot of very niche little groups where people didn't really communicate with anybody outside those groups, so they don't know how anything works because they've only worked within the small confine of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's where you get, you know, distinctions, like where people do come into a community and want to change certain things, or they want to focus in that community on certain things more than others, and then that's where you get branches off of that original culture, that original group, where you have, you know, different genres of video game or different genres of music or whatever. It's like these genres of music, like where you have rock or whatever, you then go into some different kind of rock, and then heavy metal or whatever, you know, it branches off and you have these different groups, but eventually, you know, things get oversaturated with so many different options that people just want to kind of opt out.
Online gaming back in the day, used to play on servers, you know, and then I'd meet people, and then we'd go on Skype, and we'd have these we'd have these groups of people, you know, we'd have like 5 or 6 people where we all kind of like just started to conglomerate together because we all liked each other's ideals and the way we talked to each other and stuff. We built a good dynamic that way. And then once the group gets big enough, everybody forms their cliques, and then now you have these people who talk to each other more often than they talk to the main group, and so on and so forth. And then they branch off into the people where that are more ideologically the same.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, goes into what Destin was saying, you know, with people talking more about current jargon or you know, memes that are more relevant right here, right now. That's what people, you know and know how to communicate with each other. And then the old stuff just kind of fades away. I mean, it happens all the time. It's just kind of how we are, and that's, you know, pop culture is we gotta focus on the next current thing, the next thing right here, right now. The old thing is yesterday, and I'm bored and tired of it.
The whole point was, what's your least favorite internet clout video? That's it.
I don't have one.